and welcome to an ARC review. Now, I applied for this ARC back in January by a company called the Nerd Fam. Now, they come across that they do PR boxes for ARCs, except they don't in any sense of the word. You get the ARC and sort of a few pointers along the way, but other than that, it's not a PR box as I thought a PR box would be, where you would receive a box and a physical ARC and things in it for when you want to do videos like this. You get nothing. You get an email with a few pointers and that's about it. But you do get some very nice ARC books. And this is my first video on the ARCs of April. And I'm doing this solely because I've signed up for so many ARCs already this year. I need some incentive to get reading them. So this is my ARCs in April. This is the first video of a few. I'm not going to say how many because I might not actually get around to them. And this has been such a good first quarter. We are already in April of 2025. Can you believe it? And it's been such a good quarter for new releases of books. It's just been amazing. So for this ARC review, we will be reviewing Monster of the Dagger Mountains by Meredith Hart. This cover here. And this is book one in Killers of the Tower series, so let's get on into it. Now, at the beginning, on one of the first pages of this book, the author does put in a fair warning page that although Monster of the Dagger Mountains is a standalone, it does take place in a world that is already established in her previous books. But I haven't read her previous books, and I found this perfectly well as a standalone. You really don't need to know the whole lore, it has enough. So, let's get into the blurb. So the blurb is, he hunted a god, she's hunting him. Resnick is a monster, haunted by memories of the creature he killed and struggling to control the magic now trapped in his body. He lives alone in the Dagger Mountains. When a group of mercenaries discovers him, Resnick infiltrates their camp ready to fight, until he meets Kira. 3 years of failed magical studies at the Towers of Silver City have left Kira's future hanging by a thread. She has one last chance to prove herself, a covert mission to capture the monster who murdered a god and the magic he now commands. All Kira has to do is gain the god killer's trust, without losing her heart. Resnick's plan to seduce Kira for information turns into a fiery connection neither can resist. Trusting her is impossible, but sending her away leaves Kira at the mercy of the Towers, who will stop at nothing to capture the magic he now controls. Resnick fought a god. Can he fight his heart? Sexy, snarky, and fast-paced, Monster of the Dagger Mountains is an enemies to lovers fantasy romance with dual point of view and characters who think, act, and curse like adults. This epic romantasy about the man who killed a god and the woman sent to hunt him is perfect for readers looking for swords, sorcery, and spice. Now, this does come with trigger warnings, and they are physical assault. It does get a bit bloody. Seduction doesn't seem much of a trigger warning. Doesn't probably need to be a trigger warning. Graphic language. Yeah, they do say fuck a bit. Alcohol use. Most of it takes place in a tavern, so. Violence. There's a lot of... There's a tangible amount of violence. There's enough in it. Trauma. PTSD. Yes, it does have those. So all in all, those trigger warnings do encapsulate most of what's in here. Now, I think the dual viewpoint of Kira and Resnick works very, very well. And we don't just get one event in Resnick's viewpoint and another in Kira's. We switch mid-event, so we get both of their viewpoints at the same time for the same event, which works very, very well. And it doesn't come across as repetitive, it just flows extremely well between one and the other point of view. And it works. It really does work to keep it interesting, keep it paced, keep it moving. Now, we're going to talk a bit about the characters. So Kira is our main female character. She is our point of view. And she's around 22, 23, She was raised in an orphanage and gets picked up by the exemplars of the Silver Tower, namely an exemplar called Faris. Faris. I'll say Faris, because she has potential. She has magical potential and power, because she is the offspring of an illicit affair between two of the elites of the tower. Highly magical people who are in the tower. They're not supposed to fraternise. They're not supposed to enjoy conjugal activities, shall we say. They're supposed to be kept apart, although deal together, but she's the result of an affair by two of them. He won't say who. He never tells her. And she's taken to the tower so they can monitor when her magic manifests. But she's there 3 years and hasn't manifested a single thing. And in those 3 years, so she starts to train as a guard, but in those 3 years, she is searching the archives for mentions of her mother or her father or anything that could link her to where she comes from, essentially. Now, there comes a time after these 3 years, she is personally selected by Ferris to be part of this mercenary group to find the God Killer. And it's when they're with this mercenary group and they're staying at the inn before they go up the mountain. It's sort of the last sort of hunting lodge thing called the Golden Peaks. And it's there when their group is sort of scattered about, getting drunk, getting laid, gambling, whatever. She's at the bar, and these two guys that are from this hunting trip, they're trying to not chat her up, but tell her the stories of all their hunting days, and she's looking for a way to get out of it. And in through the doors walks this guy, handsome, tall, good, and she's like, I'm going to pretend to know you, you're going to pretend to know me so I can get out and away from these guys that won't shut up. It's quite funny. Of course, this stranger is Resnick, the God Killer. Nobody knows it, because they don't know what he looks like. So she walks up to him and says, play along, please get me out of this. We'll go to a room, we'll talk. Just get me away, get me out of this. So they end up going to a room, they talk a bit, they have something to eat, have a lot to drink, go back to her room and play a game of questions where they each ask the other questions and they have to take a drink if they don't want to answer, and it's a fun game. Now remember, she is part of a covert mission to kill the God Killer, essentially. And with this complete stranger just showing up at the bottom of a mountain where nobody goes, when this hunting crowd have just had a magical experience and had to come back to the lodge and tell the mercenary people all about it, she just blabs the whole thing. She tells him exactly who they're looking for, exactly why they're looking for this person, who is looking for this person and why. And she tells Resnick all this. He tells her his name that she must have been briefed by, and you find out later she has been briefed on it, she just wasn't listening. Just because the guy is good at foreplay, she just tells him everything. It just spills out of her like word vomit. She doesn't care. She doesn't even think about it. You're on a covert mission. It's been 3 years of you doing guard duty. You wanted to prove yourself for so damn long. The first opportunity you get, and you just spill it all to a stranger. Well done. She is so naive, it is painful. And considering her upbringing, so she was brought up in an orphanage on the streets of the Silver City. Her, compatriots, compadres, the other children in the orphanage, she knows that they were out stealing, doing all these sort of trickery and sneaky and, covert things, just to survive. And that seems to have just not rubbed off on her at all. She is incredibly naive, incredibly trusting of everybody around her, and doesn't seem to think of the consequences. It's unbelievable that she could be so stupid. Now, Kira as a character, as our main female character, she's obviously supposed to come across as this caring, badass character, you know. She's supposed to be worldly, have, you know, be able to survive. But yes, she comes across as caring, but a badass and a survivor, no. It's more by good luck than management. And she comes across as so stupid. But she's nice to read. But her decision making is just... You want to shake her, really. And now we get on to our other main character, which is Resnick, the God Killer. The guy that has all this magic power. And he is described as being in his sort of mid to late 20s. And I do think it would have been beneficial for the story to age him up a bit. You know, make him grizzled. You know, like late 30s. Because Kira's been in this tower for 3 years. And all of the events concerning Resnick happened about a decade before that. So how is he... The age doesn't seem to be mishmashing very well. I think it would have been better to age him up, make him a bit more grizzled than what he is. So he is introduced as this dark, gritty, full-blown bad guy. He betrayed the towers that he was an elite in. He was one of the elites. So I thought, oh, is this her dad? But then they had a wild fuck sesh in the lodge and I thought, oh dear God, I hope they're not related. Because that's what I thought it was building up to. But thankfully no, there's no incest in this. It's not dark romance, there's nothing like it in here. So this is a fully blown bad guy. He betrayed the towers, he murdered the last god who walked the earth and stole his power for himself for his own selfish reasons, hoards power like a dragon, and just deserted all his, you know, like, is it co-workers essentially, all in this magic thing. And he just steals the power and goes away with it. And because he's the main male character, he is built up to be the villain of this piece, a full-blown bad guy. Evil villain in just every sense of the word. And in the first quarter of this book, that is exactly what he comes across as. He is low-key menacing. He is underhanded completely. He completely manipulates Kira, but let's face it, it's not hard. And he just, you know, uses his magic to get his own way. But Jesus Christ, does that take a nosedive as soon as Kira turns up on his doorstep. That is just gone. Just gone. Just gone. Gone completely. He is brooding. I do love a main male character who is broody and just, oh, and you just want to hug him, but this was too much the wrong type of brooding. It's not dark brooding, you know, like Silence, you know, when you can practically hear the wheels ticking over and the temper just underneath. There is nothing of that in here. He is broody, he comes across as weepy, and yes, it is alright for a man to cry. Yes, it's fine. But every chapter, every interaction, really, it was a bit too much of the waterworks for me. Considering he has the power of magic of a god thrumming through his veins just underneath his skin. He does absolutely nothing with it except whinge about how he got it. Which, yes, you can have trauma from you going and murdering a god. You knew what you were doing, you knew what mission you were being sent to, and you did it, and then you whinge after the fact. For years. Nearly every chapter. So yes, you can have trauma and PTSD. It's just, I don't need to read about it every chapter, every point of view you have. Your internal monologue is just... It's a bit overdone. And like he is supposed to be this evil villain. Not evil villain. He is built up to be the bad guy. He's not the bad guy. He is far too nice, far too trusting, just like Kira. Far too trusting of just random people that come up the mountain. When you know full well that a tower full of powerful, magical people are coming after you because they want the magic you've got. and you just don't do anything. You have a few wards up to let you know that somebody's coming, but nothing to actually stop them. You know you're being hunted, and you know that they know where you are because they've sent you a warning. They've sent you multiple warnings, and he knows that they know where to find him, and he just stays there because he's got a cat. And he just lets Kira and the other mercenaries straight into his house. And he lets Kira stay because she's injured, poor thing. And it really, seriously, just kill her and then just scoot on out. Take your cat and go over the mountains and disappear. But no, then there wouldn't be a story, would there? Now, we do have a few background characters. So the leader of this mercenary band from the towers is a guy called Tholius. He's supposed to be this magical protege. He has got a lot of power, a lot of sway already, and he is only an apprentice. And he is the authoritative head of this mercenary band. But, like with the other characters, as soon as we hit the Dagger Mountains and Resnick, he has all the spine of a congealed jellyfish. And throughout the rest of the book, he's just very weak. He's just... he could have done not to be there. He might as well not have been. One of the other characters is Matthias. He is Tholius's lover, boyfriend. They're in a relationship together. He is not magical, so there is some contention there because... Of course, like I said, the people in the tower are not supposed to have any conjugal adventures, especially with people who aren't magical. But he is a background character in every sense of the word. He is only there as sort of at the forefront when Kira needs an escort home. And that's about it. They need to trauma bond, and there is a lot of trauma for these two to bond over. Now, my favourite character is the leader of the mercenary group that has been hired to help these wizards go up the Dagger Mountains, for want of a better word. And that is Zane. Now, Zane as a character is everything Resnick should have been. He is shady. He is the shady, snarky badass that Resnick should have been. His motives are continually fluid and extremely grey. I mean, all the shades of grey are just everywhere. You are never quite sure what his motives are. You know he's only in it for himself, but then it doesn't seem like he is. And then it seems like he's helping, but he's not. You're never quite sure on which side he stands, and the only one to know that is him, essentially. And because of he's a side character, you don't get his point of view, so that adds to his mystique. He is everything Resnick should have been, but wasn't. Now, the world building, it does go quite good. We do get some of the history to some of this magic, and we do get a bit of what the Silver City kind of is in tandem with other towns across the country. But we don't get that much. Most of the world building is through Resnick's point of view, and it is what is going on in the mountains. Now, some of the biggest things that are going on in the mountains is, and some of the things that are what Resnick's, especially his earlier chapters, and really throughout the book, his chapters are dedicated to him. He's in this meadow, he feels protective of this pack of gigantic direwolves and what the direwolves are protecting. And Resnick feels responsible for that pack and also what the pack is protecting. And he wants the Silver City to have absolutely nothing to do with this, and he repeats it and repeats it over and over again. It is quite a character trait, and it is a gigantic big bone of contention, especially near the end, between him and Kira, because he wants to stay and protect and she wants to leave and survive, which is the only good idea she ever comes up with that is sane. All of those chapters, all of those things with the direwolves and what they're protecting, and you do find out what they're protecting, it has absolutely no bearing on the plot whatsoever, apart from being a bone of contention between Kira and Resnick. We have read about these things since Resnick's first chapter, and we are nearly at the end, and they don't matter at all. Not one bit. We don't find out where they came from. We don't find out what they're doing. We don't find out where they're going. We don't find out what kind of power they have. If this book is the first in a series, we might find out in book 2, but I'm not going to read it. And we just get nothing. We get a fat load of nothing for a lot of words we've read. Can you tell it annoyed me a little bit? One of the main tropes that is in this is miscommunication between Kira and Resnick. It is so overdone at this point, it's ridiculous. Just, they can lie down and fuck for hours on end, but have a conversation? Oh no, 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 no. They can't do anything such like that. And then, after all that, and then we get the ending. Now this is an arc review, there is no spoilers, but my god, the ending let me down so much. You get so built up all the way through the book, and then you get to the ending, and the book's already out. I'm not saying this is an arc review because I need to talk about this. So if you are going to read this book, this is where the video ends for you because I can't hold it in any longer. We are going to have to talk about the ending. So yeah, this is your cue to take your leave. So the ending. We get to the ending. Resnick is in chains in the dungeon, in the tower. Kira has no magic, but that actually kind of helps her to rescue him. And we're in the dungeon. She's rescued him. He's there with all this power thrumming through him. Ferris comes down because he's the one that put him in chains. And they have a verbal battle. They have a bit of, you know, fisticuffs and a bit of magic back and forth between the two. And Resnick gets Ferris on the floor. This is a guy who is the bad guy. He has done evil things to everybody. And it is him that the corrupt power all revolves around. Everything that we have been saying that has been bad. And Resnick is on top of him with his hands around his throat, going to kill him. He has magical chains wrapped around his body. He is watching the life drain from this guy. And you are there and you're like, yes, kill him. And he lets him go. He lets him go because he's not a bad guy. This is a guy who has hunted you for over a decade. You know he's not going to stop. He's at the top. He is King Turd of Shit Mountain. And you just let him go. And leave him alive. And leave. This is a guy who has hunted you for a decade. Do you really think he's not going to get back up, regroup, and come after you again? Especially now he knows the relationships between the characters, what your power can be, how to get into your psyche and all that. Do you really think he's just going to leave you alone? Really? Really? Seriously? Just kill him and have done. I was just done for that. And that is the reason this gets 3 stars and not 4. Because yes, the miscommunication was a bit of annoying and it was overdone. But the ending, oh my god, do not lead me up a mountain just to have the villain in and just get up and just say, oh well, you know what, I'm really a good guy and you can just, I'll give you your life. Just kill the guy. God damn it. It's like you don't know how to... It annoyed me somewhat fierce, and it annoys me still. Which is why I will not be reading book 2. Because at the end of this arc, we got a snapshot of the first chapter of book 2. And lo and behold, Ferris is the main antagonist of that one too. Which wouldn't have happened if Resnick had just killed him when he had the chance. So, to be quite honest, they deserve everything they get. Because, yeah. So, if you have read this, please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And, as always, no matter how much an ending annoys you, keep reading.